This season has been unlike any other. We've seen players rise to stardom and just as many fall to the lowest points of their careers, production-wise, for a lot of different reasons. So things look a lot different this NBA season thanks to all these under and overachievers. So today, we look at them all. One of the most interesting and exciting things this NBA season is the fact that the NBA finally fixed the officiating. After years of calls like this, and this, and this, we're finally seeing guys getting to just play. But it's not so exciting for everybody, including Devin Booker, who's currently averaging his lowest points per game since his sophomore season and fewest free throw attempts since he was a rookie. And we'll get into why, but first, we can't go any further without mentioning Prize Picks, my new favorite form of fantasy basketball. Last season I played some of the more standard versions, but I've been on Prize Picks all month and I've loved it. My winnings are now up to almost $600 this month. The other night I won $100 for picking 4 players right, and I feel like I'm on a roll recently and I want to share my knowledge to let you in on some tips. So here's how I'm playing it tonight. So for me, your standard games are a little tougher to pick, but different situations make things easier. Like for example, it's one of Joel Embiid's first games back and he's valued at 23.5 points, so I'll definitely take him. And it's the same with Luka. He's been on fire since returning from injuries, so at 25.5 points, he seems like a steal. And with Doncic back, Porzingis will sadly probably go back into his role as a perimeter player, spot up shooter. So with that said, I gotta take the 1.5 3-pointers made for him. And then I'm going for the over on all 3 of these guys. And of course, as always, I'm gonna be playing flex play, but look, there it is. In under a minute, I already picked my fantasy basketball squad. It just doesn't have to be this long, complicated process. So huge shout out to Prize Picks for supporting the channel and sponsoring today's video. He's in the middle of his best season as a pro though, but statistically, it doesn't add up to the numbers we're used to seeing Devin put up. These rule changes have made it clear to see who's benefited the most over the years from these type of foul calls, even if it was some players you didn't really expect. Clearly though, a couple points here and there have had zero effect on the amount of success the Phoenix Suns have had, with them still looking like one of the clear favorites to come out of their respective conference, which puts them in a very similar situation to the Chicago Bulls, who at this point in time are sitting atop the Eastern Conference. The Bulls looked great on paper coming into the 2021 NBA season, but I don't know if anyone knew that they'd be this good. Probably because no one could have expected DeMar DeRozan going back in time to his prime form. It all stopped when he left the Toronto Raptors for the Spurs, and everyone really thought he fell off because, well, he did. He was on a bad Spurs team, only averaged 22 points a game and played in 3 seasons for them. That really meant nothing. Well, now he turned back the clock and found his perfect fit with the Bulls and is playing like an MVP, averaging 27 points a game. It makes sense though, he has 2 defenders in the backcourt and another scorer exactly on his level, so he really has nothing to worry about aside from leading the team and being himself, something that he used to do when he played for Toronto, and that's something currently still going on for that team by way of OG Anunoby and new up-and-coming rookie Scott Barnes. Both are the Raptors' young guys, and OG's been that for a few years, but he's finally stepped up and exceeded expectations in a way not many saw coming, now leading the team in points over veterans Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam, while also becoming an elite player defensively. But if he wants to lead this team, he needs to watch his back because Scotty Barnes is coming. Thanks to his defense to go along with his offense that's been way ahead of where most people anticipated it would be at this point. So having been picked 4th overall, he now leads the race for Rookie of the Year. 4th in that Rookie of the Year race though goes to Cade Cunningham, who was selected 1st overall with hopes of being the best prospect. After having a historically bad start to his rookie season, he started to finally turn things around, but he's still pretty far away from where people expected him to be right now at this moment. Here's the numbers he was expected to average compared to what he's currently putting up. He's getting there, so I'm not too worried about him. I think he just took a bit to adjust, but seeing how his season started out, it wouldn't be a huge surprise to see his numbers start to slip again, so we may be in for a bit of a roller coaster ride. The same one that apparently Tyler Hero has been on since his career started in the league. His rookie season, he was a standout, so much so that last year it was a huge letdown seeing how quiet and little development came from him. But now we're back on the upswing. Last year was a letdown, came in with numbers down for most of the year and not providing the same energy off the bench that he did in his first season, but now currently he's been the complete opposite, providing 21, 5, and 4 off the bench on 40% from 3. Just about as much as you could possibly ask for from a 6-man on a championship contender. It remains to be seen if he keeps this up, but it's a good sign. His fellow teammate Jimmy Butler's been right by his side in terms of surprises for the Heat though. After his elite finals performance, his offense really lacked last year and it hurt Miami. So to see him now come out and put up a career high 25 points a game after the addition of Kyle Lowry has taken everyone by surprise. But speaking of surprises, Jordan Poole may be the biggest one in the NBA this year. Last season he had flashes of greatness and showed potential as a sophomore, but for anyone to say they saw him jumping from averaging 12 points per game to now 18 would be blasphemous. With Klay out, he was the perfect player to step up and round out this lineup, which is why Golden State currently still sits at the top of the NBA. And once Klay returns, it looks like Jordan Poole may have actually been the final piece they need to return to being NBA champions, which would bring Jordan his first. James Harden's also been looking for his first, but that might not be able to become a reality this season if he doesn't step up his game. Ignoring the Kyrie Irving issue, Harden was obviously the one that a no foul call rule change was going to affect the most. And it did, because currently he's averaging 8 assists, 7 rebounds, and only 21 points a game, which is the lowest he's ever averaged since his 3rd year in the league, when he was still a 6th man and played for the Thunder. At 32 years old, the man that's been referred to as the greatest scorer of our generation, and one of the greatest scorers of all time, is putting up his worst numbers since he came off the bench after a foul call rule change, proving that it's a direct correlation. Harden's foul attempts and makes are also down to the lowest numbers since that 2012 season. Ever since joining the Brooklyn Nets though, Harden's role has changed, and he has gone away from being a total scorer and moved towards being a facilitator and playmaker, which also does play a huge role in the scoring slump, but there's still no doubt that even by those standards, his numbers are still down this year from where they should be at. But it also, of course, doesn't account for how his numbers may be affected by another star's absence. That issue may be hurting him, but Tyrese Maxey couldn't be benefiting more from being in the exact same situation, stepping up in a huge way without Ben Simmons. As a rookie, Maxey got a lot of praise for his occasional big moment or high-scoring game, but as a 76ers new starting point guard, he's played better than anyone ever thought he would in that role, almost making some Sixers fans forget that Ben Simmons even existed. By putting up much better numbers in year 2 than the 3-time All-Star, max contract player ever did in his time with Philly. Of course, Ben is better defensively, but that's it. Everyone's just waiting for Tyrese to come back to earth and maybe relax after averaging 18, 3, and 3 in year 2, but he's only getting hotter, and we're seeing similar stories all over the league. In a perfect world, had Markelle Fultz never gotten injured, Cole Anthony may still be coming off the bench, but having been given that opportunity to start the past year and a half, he's now broken out into a better point guard than Markelle's ever been, with averages of 19 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists a game. He's still inconsistent, and the Magic are still terrible, but I didn't see Cole Anthony playing this good this soon. After his rookie year, it was kind of disappointing to realize that he might fall into a DJ Augustine type role one day, but these past few months, multiple 30-point games and 50 to 60% shooting from 3 on occasion has wiped that thought out of most people's minds. Now, in a turn of events, veteran Kemba Walker has done pretty much the exact opposite this season. He was also on a bad team for years at one point, even averaging 25 points a game and making the All-Star team 3 years in a row. Some of that carried over to the Boston Celtics, but after not being a great fit on the team, he was traded to the Knicks, where on paper, he seemed like the perfect fit. Most people expected him to have a career year and take New York to the next level, but instead, he's been the worst signing of the offseason in the middle of having the worst year of his career by far, making it 2 teams he hasn't been a great fit on, which now makes you wonder, is it the team or the player? But there's always still hope for him, because it took Reggie Jackson 10 seasons to find the team he was the perfect fit for, and now he's having the best season of his career. And even his first year in the Clippers was tough. It wasn't a good season, but it was right around where you'd expect Reggie to be. Something clicked for him last year during the playoffs though, putting up multiple 20+ point games and averaging a career best 17 points during that whole postseason stretch. And there was a chance it was a fluke, but he's found his rhythm and now picked up right where he left off, and is putting up big numbers on a nightly basis for a real playoff team. So there's still hope for Kemba Walker to turn things around. Damian Lillard may be another story though. I don't know how much bounce back there'll be for him after he's another major player suffering from the NBA's rule changes. And it's harsh, but the way they're calling the game now is the way it should have always been played, so if they can't keep up, then it just is what it is. And him personally, he's taken a huge blow. He pretty much averaged 30 a game the past 2 years. Well, this season that's dropped to 21 a game on top of career worst shooting numbers across the board. It's weird to think even for a second, what if this is the new Damian Lillard? But then again, great players always find a way. Now, at the start of the season, no one on the planet would have guessed that a fourth of the way through the year, Lillard and Miles Bridges would be putting up the same numbers offensively. But the jump for him this season actually makes sense. The on-court chemistry's been there from the start with him and LaMelo. You could see it this last season, but there was never any huge difference in Bridges' game because Melo was a rookie and just getting adjusted to the starting lineup, while Charlotte hadn't even made the decision to include him in it just yet. Well, now Miles has turned into John Collins 2.0, and what Collins is to Trae Young, Miles is to LaMelo Ball, and it just works. So expect this duo to be making noise for a long time to come. While on the other hand, as fast as things came from Michael Porter Jr., they've seemingly washed away. It's officially year 4 for him now, and he's had one single season of greatness. Last year was huge, but he had a disappointing rookie campaign, then broke out and put up these numbers. Well, he played 9 games this year and went right back to those rookie numbers. We expected him to play even better this season, but now he's dealing with a back injury, and that wasn't so unexpected. He dealt with it in his 1 year at college and his entire rookie season, but we were just getting away from the idea that one still might come up in the future, and now he's likely out for the year. And who knows what this means for Michael Porter Jr.'s future and his ability to stay healthy. On the other hand, 3rd overall pick Evan Mobley has risen to the occasion. He's already been leaps and bounds better than most people expected him to be, and outperformed in the early stages of this season. Most big men come into the league and have a rough first year. The league's a lot different than high school and college, and it takes time, but Evan Mobley has fit right in, surprisingly well alongside fellow center Jared Allen. Pretty soon it'll be up to the Cavs to finally make some decisions with their roster, but But as for now, they should be happy with their draft performance. To start this season, Joel Embiid turned back the clock, and not in the good way this time, because he put up numbers reminiscent of his rookie season, and it doesn't seem as much to be from the new NBA rules. His numbers have all been down across the board except for his free throw attempts. He just came out cold this year, and if you're a Philly fan, you have to imagine that the ongoing Ben Simmons saga has only made things worse. That thing really needs to end, and so does this video.